Here in the studio is Peter Gabriel. Welcome, Peter. You had a very busy day last Saturday. It was your reunion with Genesis at MILTON KEYNES. It must have been a pretty wet reunion, mustn't it, judging by the weather?
Yeah, we had filthy weather. It started about 6 a.m. and went on to about 2 a.m., solid rain. And the day before was perfect, and the day after was perfect. But
you had to pick one day out of 7 years, and
yeah,
that was the one. What sort of show was it for the benefit of people who didn't go? Was it a Genesis show or a Peter Gabriel show or what?
Well, first, I just want to say that it's amazing for the audience because they waited out for about 6 hours in the rain. So I wanted to get that over. It was mainly old stuff. We thought in return for us getting our fingers in their pockets, we tried to give them what we thought they might want out of the combination of the six of us, although we had a bonus with Steve Hackett coming back.
Oh, he was back there as well.
Yep.
So were you all dressed up and everything? Because Genesis, sort of early 70s, were well known for fantastically theatrical presentations.
Well, there was a little burst, you know. I tried to control it. I've seen a doctor, but it still gets the better of me.
One of the things that struck me about it was, I mean, you split from Genesis 7 years ago. Was it very difficult to, were you presumably not as familiar as you were with the old material? How did you go about it?
You could say that. I was never good at remembering words, but this time I had to watch the lips of the front row very closely.
Now, this concert was, am I right, a benefit to recoup some of the losses made on the accrued on the WOMAD Festival, which you were one of the prime backers of. How did you go about organising that fantastic festival with extraordinary breadth of artists there?
Yeah. Can I say too there that here I am messing up your interview. There was one or two mentions suggesting that Genesis had actually got some money out of that, and although they're often portrayed as very unhip and exploitative capitalist men of the rock world, it's entirely down to them now that the WOMAD movement can move or struggle or crawl forward, and they didn't get anything out of it.
That's good. How did you go about getting people like the Burundi drummers and all sorts of odd acts from all over the world? How do you get them to Shepton Mallet? I mean, presumably you don't go to an agency.
They're all in the yellow pages. You let your fingers do the walking. But, well, I mean, we went into it really knowing F.A. about the subject, really. You know, we just liked some certain sounds and noises and thought that there was a lot that was interesting us and a lot of other rock musicians getting turned on by it. So we approached embassies, musicologists, anyone with a record collection, folk record shops, and there was a group of people in Bristol that were doing most of the scouting, and some of the connections were very hairy, and we couldn't believe the amount of bureaucracy. But when you actually got to meet the Minister for Youth, Culture and Sport from Burundi, who came with his drummers, you know, he's a very reasonable bloke, but actually getting through to them is a little different.
Yeah.
The festival reputedly lost a sum of about £200,000. What did it actually cost to put on?
Ooh, I'd say a lot.
Is that a rough estimate or a specific figure?
Well, I don't, what do they call it? A guesstimation in America, I think, yeah.
So now
it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think we naively assumed that we had an event with more appeal than it actually had. I'm very hopeful that even if we can't continue, the idea is going to be pushed through by some others, because if nothing else, we showed that a rock audience could give a standing ovation to a 50-year-old Chinese horn player. And that was great.
What was the event in the early 80s when you were running out of money? You had a one-off show, you came back.
Well,
what was that?
That was WOMAD, which was, you know, again, full of naive idealism and not too much practical wisdom. I gathered a group of people to put on a festival, you know, to celebrate all these fantastic musicians. It was art and dance as well, film from around the world that wasn't getting exposure. And absolutely brilliant event, but a disaster in the box office. And I was getting sort of death threats on the phone because we couldn't pay the bills. And I think Tony then very kindly talked to the band and said, look, maybe if we could get everyone together and with Peter, we can raise some money. And they very generously agreed to do this one-off thing, and it was stuck in between a bit of touring, so we didn't really get the chance to rehearse properly. So I think it was a bit rough and ready, and it was pissing down. So the audience, very devoted fans, some of whom come from sort of Argentina, America, Soviet countries, to see this thing.